Hawari, inshallah, who will be presenting and reminding us why we are here. Please let's give a huge round of applause to Dr. Muhammad Hawari.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, we are all here united for one cause only. We are here to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are here to help our brothers and sisters in Gaza. I am Palestinian. I'm from Al-Quds, originally from Hawara, near Nablus. And I have been very privileged, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, to be in Gaza during this war, trying to help as much as possible our brothers and sisters. And it's a great honor for me to be here with you in Bradford to try to help as much as possible our brothers and sisters there. So, Gaza, for those who don't know the Gaza Strip is small. It is 25 miles long only, and width it's around 3 to 7.5 miles, depending on where you are. So it's not a big area. But in Gaza Strip, we have 2.2 million people living. 2.2 million in a very, very small area. And it is actually one of the highest density populations ever on Earth. Gaza Strip is made up of different hospitals and medical centers, around 36 of them. And nearly all of them have been bombarded, or partially they are now dysfunctional due to raids, either from tanks or from the air. And the medical situation is extremely, extremely difficult. As you all know, 471 days of war, continuous war, and genocide against civilians, against innocent people. This is what Gaza has faced. And it hasn't been easy for anybody who lived in that area. Just give me a second. So I'll carry on. So Gaza has been divided by the occupation into 5 different sectors. The most north one is the one that has been continuously bombarded, and people have been evacuated in the most horrible way. And all the hospitals in the north have been completely destroyed. And people have been asked to evacuate. More than 2 million people have been forced to evacuate and go all the way to the south. That was the Rafah border. They told them it will be a secure area. And then a few months down the line, Rafah became more destroyed, and all the centers were in that area were also completely inhabitable. And now, as my colleague has just mentioned, people have been forced to evacuate towards the sea, towards the Mawasi area. When we were in, we had a chance, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, to go to Gaza Strip. They basically called us saying, the brothers and sisters there, they need you because there are no surgical specialties. Can you help? Can you support? And we went through Egypt first. In order to go from there, many charities, including PIMA, have supported us with more than 15,000 boxes of medications that we have taken with us, that I have loaded myself along with my colleagues on the trucks, on the buses, as we went from Egypt to the Rafah border. The mission took us around 12 hours to reach from Egypt until we reached the Rafah border, which we reached very late in the night. And subhanAllah, the moment that you enter Gaza, you enter the Rafah border, all the fears that are inside you, all the fears that you are going into a war area, will all disappear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a sense of peace inside you that will make you feel really, really comfortable. And you will start working with people you've never met in your life. So people coming from all over the world. We had people from Algeria, from Canada, from the States, from Malaysia, from Palestine, Jordan, Egypt. So all of these people were united together, trying to help and support and work together for this good cause. And our first night in Gaza Strip we obviously had a small room. I want to show you the pictures in a second. So the small room basically was allowed 5 of us to sleep on the floor, but we were treated like kings. To be able to sleep under a roof on a mattress when your brother, who is another surgeon or another doctor or another nurse, is sleeping in a tent outside without a mattress, without something to cover him, a blanket. We were treated like kings. It was really scary initially, I must say. The first night, all my colleagues who came from Europe and the States, we all basically, were hearing the bombing of the tanks. Every minute there were 3 bombs, there were 3 bombardments. And the bombardments were so strong that they were shaking the doors of the building. They told us in Gaza, Tiglagish. Tiglagish means do not worry. And the meaning why you do not worry, because they said if you can hear the rockets, this means you are not the target. So subhanallah, they say if you hear the rocket, you are not the target. If you already haven't heard the rocket, you're already gone. So this is how they live their life. And so if there's one bombardment around them, they just carry on and they just move on. So far, from the latest figures that we have from the Ministry of Health, there's 47,000 people who have been killed during the Gaza wars, who are martyrs. These are the people who were brought to the hospital and they had a name to be registered. And out of these, there's around 17,000 of these were children and 171 were newborn. The women were also targets, 11,487 women. There were 902 families who were completely erased from the civil register. That is the grandfather, grandmother, the father, the mother, the kids, everybody in the family. Nobody from that family exists after their house has been destroyed and killed. There are more than around 11,000 so far from the Ministry of Health. They are saying that they are under the rubble and they are trying to get them out. It will take them a long, long time to do that. And I was just reading yesterday from the Ministry of Health that there's around 2,500 people who evaporated, listen to that, evaporated from the bombardment, subhanAllah. They are non-existent. They couldn't find a bone for them. They evaporated from the heat of the bombardment, subhanAllah. There are 12,500 people in Gaza who are cancer patients, who need treatment for cancer. And PIMA was one of the first organizations who supported us to buy the medications from Egypt and get them in order to support the patients who are cancer patients who needed immunosuppression, immunity medications and so on. And there are 350,000 people who have chronic diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, diabetic and so on. And imagine, I'm sure between you, the audience, some of you have some chronic sort of need for medications. And if you go on one day without your painkillers, anti-inflammatories, it is really painful. So we joined together, and my colleague Ammar Darwish, who gave the first talk, was one of the people who supported us to do a course called the David Mott course, to train us, we, the surgeons from different specialties, how to deal with emergencies in Gaza. And we did this course together over a 4-day period. And then we joined together in these buses, and as you see, we loaded all these sort of trucks after trucks, buses after buses, with all the medications that you, families like you, have supported us, helped us to allow to bring the medications into Gaza Strip. And this is the Rafah border that my colleague has spoken, where there are literally thousands of trucks waiting to enter. And then our group on the Rafah border, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we met together, And there we started to meet each other and know a little bit more about life. And this was the Rafah border. This place has been completely destroyed by a tank. They hate anything that brings memory to people, the Israelis. They like to destroy any hope. And they actually destroyed that area where we joined as a group of doctors and nurses trying to bring something into Gaza. And this was the room where we slept. We were treated like kings. Wallahi, we were treated like kings. We were given 1 liter of water to drink a day when my colleagues did not have any water. We had some salty water to make wudu. So 1 liter a day to drink, that's all we had. And the bombardment was around us, as you can see. And then we woke up in the morning and we saw something. We saw a sign of resilience. We saw, I'm looking from the top of the room where we were in, and there is this area where there were little kids who were reciting Quran and learning Quran by their teachers, supporting them so that they can live and continue to live and know their honest belonging. Who do they belong to? Why are they there in life? And this is extremely important. This young lady is reciting from the Quran, and she was trying to show us how happy she was, trying to achieve and do everything. So she was reciting this surah, subhanallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاءك المنافقون قالوا نشهد إنك لرسول الله والله يعلم إنك لرسوله. Alright, so she was describing the situation. SubhanAllah, at that moment, she was just reciting the surah. And she was honestly telling what is happening in real life. So many people are saying, we are there to support you, Gaza. So many people are saying, we are there to support the Muslim people. And many, unfortunately, are not doing this. They were harming Gaza by whatever they were doing over the last more than 1 year. And our group met together, so with the hospital chiefs and so on, so that each one of us will know their job. And this was the first patient that I had to deal with, 3 years old. SubhanAllah, she wasn't an injury from the Israelis. She was a little kid who was hungry. She was running like the other kids after one of the lorries that had some food support, trying to get some food. And the truck overran her, and she lost her foot. SubhanAllah, this was my first patient. There are 3,500 kids who are in severe sort of hunger, and many have lost their life because of that. I was seeing the kids outside in A&E, literally on the corner vomiting. They were yellow, they were jaundiced, they had hepatitis because of sanitation and because of lack of healthy food. This is us in the hospital, and you can see inside the corridors of the hospitals, there are tents everywhere. People have put their blankets, and underneath and behind each one of these, there's a family living, full family. And they're going down the stairs, there are more families there. People are trying just to get on with their life. You saw from my previous colleague when it showed you the lights, electricity. There's a bit of electricity because of the generators in the hospital. People come to the hospital because they find a bit of security, a bit of supply of electricity, maybe a bit of food. And this is how they try to live. They look for hope. In the hospital, there were 22,000 people, 22,000 living inside the hospital who were not patients. And the kids were everywhere. They're trying just to say hello, you have a sweet. And this was the main department basically, which is was causing disasters. So this is the situation that we are currently in. We carry on with our... This is in Khan Yunis. We came here as a group. And this is the hospital again from the inside. You can see people are baking. They are trying to, use a bit of flour. And the most interesting thing, they were in massive poverty, but still they were sharing the food with us. They were sharing the food with the tent beside them because they know everybody is hungry. And you can see how difficult it is. This is the door to the operating room. People are everywhere, and we're just literally going between them so that we don't step on them. And this is a makeshift hospital outside. As you can see, everything has been changed. And people were moved to that area. That area in certain times had no electricity and no water supply. But we were trying to help as much as possible. So they were made of like caravan-style hospital, trying to help and support as much as possible. The latest figures show that there are 111,000 people who have been badly injured during this war so far. And the injuries that we saw were massive. This is a surgeon from Jordan who was removing an eye and changing it to a plastic eye for a patient who was been injured by a bullet in that area, trying to prevent infection from going on. These are things that we put inside the airway so that we can ventilate patients during the operation. Okay, we call them endotracheal tubes. We use them once and we throw them in the bin. In Gaza, we use them once, we put them in the sink, we wash our hands with the sink. The water that comes down washes these things and we use them again for the next patient because of lack of things in the hospital. But the hospital is full of life, full of these kids, and they are everywhere. They were following me every single step because they were so happy that there was somebody coming from a different part of the world, coming to say Assalamu alaikum, coming to check that they are all okay. It was something really important for them to feel that there is somebody who really cares about them. And this is why you are here tonight. You are here because you care. And this is why I am speaking to you today, because I know that you care. 2 million people were displaced. 100,000 are living in tents. I receive phone calls every day asking for support to rebuild tents because they were destroyed during the winter month. This is Juri. Juri is one of the kids that I met during my stay there. She's 10 and she lives in the hospital. Family was displaced from the north of Gaza, and I asked her, what is your dream? She said, I want the war to stop. I want to go back home.
ايش اسمك؟ جوري. جوري ما شاء الله عليك، بتعرف شو معنى جوري؟ جوري تمام، قديش عمرك؟ 10 سنوات. جوري شو حلمك؟ شو حابة تصيري؟ وين بيتك انت؟ بيتك في الشمال، الله يرضى عليك، انت هون مع اهلك؟ الله يحفظك ربي ويحميكي. جوري شو حابة تصيري بس تكبري؟ ممرضة ما شاء الله، الله يرضى عليك.
She wants to be a nurse. She can see all the injured people. She wants to help as much as possible. This is Sama. Sama is from Beit Lahia, and she was displaced again from the north.
السلام عليكم. شو اسمك انت يا عمي؟ الله يرضى عليك. ما شاء الله. سما انت من وين؟
من غزة، مدينة بيت لاهيا، نصحى من شمال بيت.
ما شاء الله، الله يحفظكم يا ربي ويحميكم. احكي لي سما، احكي لي قصتك انت.
أنا كنت نازحة في مستشفى الأندونيسي، شفت الخوف والرعب والموت، فوق هيك حاصرونا وحاطين اليهود. بعد ذلك نزحت إلى الجنوب. شو بدي أحكي لكم لما نحكي لأنه فينا ما حد يتحمل بالعالم. أحلامنا مخططة.
Sama is talking about her story being displaced from hospital to hospital, from the north to the center to the south. And she said she lost her house, she lost her dreams, she lost her family members, and all she wants is for the war to stop. And she would like to become a GP in the future. This is Layan. Layan touched my heart so much Mayan is one who was reciting Quran, and she's so meticulous. She's always there to read and study, and she knows 5 out of 30 juz's by heart from the Quran. She's only 8 years of age, and she's so proud that she's able to do that.
السلام عليكم. شو اسمك انت يا عمو؟ ليان. الله يرضى عليك يا ليان. ليان حبيبتي، شو حلمك؟ شو حابة يصير في الدنيا؟
زي كل أطفال العالم.
ايوه.
نطلع يعني ما يكونش لنا قصف ولا أي شيء، ما نطلعش من نطلع على مكان بعيد إحنا ما نعرفوش.
Can you believe what her dream is? Her dream is to be like every other kid in the world. Nothing else. To be able to walk outside without bombardment, without being displaced. A dream of a kid, a grown-up kid, a kid from Gaza. 25,000 are living without their families, nearly 26,000. These are the people who you are here today to support, to help, to see how we can help them, protect them, provide some medical support for them. There are 785,000 who lost their schools and no access to schools. We're trying to rebuild schools at some stage in the future, inshallah. They love life, okay? Despite the war, despite everything that was happening, we decided to throw a little party for them, bring a clown from there so that we can pay them, do something. And you can see all the kids came out, and I went to ask the women who were there, and I said, are we doing the correct thing by throwing a party in the middle of the war where people are dying? And they said, please do it. Our kids haven't seen happiness since the war have started. And they begged us to do it. And I found that injured people coming out on their beds, in their chairs, just to go out and just sing some songs of celebrating life as we want it to be. And these are the kids. They just love life. You know, they just want to move on and be somebody. And I hope that one day you will all be able to go to Gaza and embrace them. They love hugs. They are so huggable as well. We operated on everybody. Spinal surgeon team. This was Al Jazeera broadcaster, Ahmed Matar. And you'll be surprised that there's lack of significant resources and specialties who are able to help patients in that hospital. All hospitals in Gaza. More than 1,000 doctors and nurses have been killed, 87s from civil defense, 119 journalists because they don't want you to speak, they don't want you to know anything. Injuries from everything in the chest, in shrapnels everywhere, injuries in the chest, people trying to walk and go and try everything that they want. But this is something that I want you to see. There are so many people who have lost their limbs in Gaza, people who had amputations, and where we basically used to put this in a box, a leg in a box, and give it to the family so that they can bury it before the patient is buried. These are the patients who will need lots of rehabilitation, lots of physiotherapy, lots of assessment so that they can go on with their life and do something. A&Es are a mess. People are treated on the floor because there's no support, nothing in A&E, no electricity, so resus room, no electricity, using our phones. And there are stories of resilience. This chap he was under the rubble for about 7 days and no water, nothing. And subhanAllah, he said, I only managed to survive with my masbaha. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wallahu akbar. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wallahu akbar. Stories of resilience that are unbelievable. And he gave his masbaha to my colleague who came all the way from the United States. He's Indian in origin, and he was helping him in A&E, and they exchanged masabih. Subhanallah, in Gaza. Stories of resilience that you will not see the place. My talk is long, but I'm going to end up with this one. This is a lady who, her name was Majhula Wahid. Majhula means unknown. Her house was bombarded. She was brought with a massive head injury, brain injury. Her brain was coming out. And after nearly around sort of 7 to 8 days in the hospital, I come in the morning in the intensive care, and suddenly she stops breathing and she passes away. The nurse tells me today in the morning her sister came. We thought that she lost all her family. Her sister came and she gave her her name, and her name is Ibtisam Abu Sahlul. She just was waiting for somebody to give her her name so that she can go back to her creator. Subhanallah. Jazakum Allah khair for coming today. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakumullah khairan. Dr. Hawari, apologies, I ran out of time, so I had to move on. But without further ado, brothers